G'day, Diane. Welcome to Landscape Photography World. How are you going?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
I'm delighted to have you on the show. It's a very exciting time for you, I know, because you've got a new book coming out. But before we get into the details around that and a few other things that I want to talk about, who are you and why are you a photographer?
I am a photographer because I am a storyteller. And as far back as I can think, I loved telling stories. I loved telling stories as a kid. Later in life, when I became a parent, I often preferred to tell my kids a story, sometimes instead of read them one and make it up. And then later in life, I made my living for about 30 years as a marketing consultant. And when people say, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" I used to, without thinking, I'd say I tell stories. And in my mind, that's what it was. Anytime you are selling something, presenting something, marketing, you're telling a story about a product, about a town, about whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
And photography for me is the most passionate way I think you can tell a story. It's something incredibly intimate that you experience. And knowing that I get to share that once in a lifetime moment sometimes with other people who are now going to get to see whatever that may be and hopefully feel some emotion and enjoy it and feel like they're there, for me is like the be all and end all.
Sure. Okay. So where did it all start for you? What sparked that passion and what sparked that, I guess, desire to not only take the photos, but also share them?
During my career as a marketing consultant, I often worked with the media and I was in front of the camera, sometimes talking about on behalf of a client, whatever the deal was at the moment. And I worked with a lot of photographers, some of them not so great, some of them really fantastic. But the one thing that I would find myself doing is if we were working on revitalizing a small town and we were going to do a piece on it, I would end up saying inevitably to the camera crew or the photographer, whoever we were working with that day, very politely I would ask, but I'd say, could we maybe get those buildings in your frame and make sure that we pan down and show this street?
Sure.
And what I realized I was doing was I was visually creating the story that was in my head about what we were doing.
Okay.
And not the photographers and the camera crews were super happy. I was making their job easier, telling them what we were hoping to get. And one day I had that aha moment, the light bulb. And wow, I really don't want to be in front of the camera talking about this. I want to be behind the camera creating it. And that was it for me. And there was no turning back. So I jumped in with both feet.
And how long ago was that? When was that?
About 15 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
my dad had always dabbled in photography. He had a dark room in our basement.
wow.
He was always annoying us, wanting to take pictures of his daughters. And I was always, "Oh, you really have to do that." But I also would find myself down saying, "Can I come in there and watch what you're doing?" So I was fascinated.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the seeds were already planted.
I've spoken about it before, but that was where I got hooked, was in a dark room as well. And that magic of putting the blank sheet of paper into the tray and watching the image just appear out of nothing was always something that fascinated me.
It's powerful. That was my moment. And I am very blessed because I left my career as a consultant and I was going to dedicate the next couple of years to doing nothing but taking photos.
Right.
And nothing was off the table. If your dog barked and you wanted a picture, I took it. If a cat climbed a tree and you needed it, I took it. Birthday parties, weddings, engagements, you name it, I did it, no matter how big or small it was. And what I was doing was learning my craft. I wanted to shoot outdoors. I wanted to shoot indoors. And I was learning as I went, and I was reading and watching things. And I'm so glad I did that because a couple of things came out of it. One, I figured out what I wasn't very good at.
Yep.
Figuring out what I really was good at and where my passion. And after the first couple of years of just doing it all and getting more confidence and learning different cameras and what I liked, how to make things look better, it just became so apparent that I was not about taking photos of people.
Okay.
Loved architecture, landscape, and that was it for me. To this, if I'm out walking when I travel, I can walk through a city and my head's always looking up because I'm looking at the architecture.
Yeah.
Fascinating. So that was a no-brainer to segue into, okay, this is where your passion is and your love. And this is also where I think I excelled. I was a bad portrait photographer. I think I did some good ones. But if I looked at the two, it was clear to me, this is your game.
Yeah. That was where your passion lay.
So that's how I ended up being Diane Bentley Raymond, a landscape and architecture photographer.
Fantastic. And what is it that actually motivates you creatively? Obviously, looking at the landscape and looking at architecture gets the juices flowing, but what is it about those things, and what is it that I guess catches your eye when you're scanning a scene and saying, okay, that's the shot?
And actually I want to ask you the same when we're done, because I'm always
Sure.
fascinated with photographers, what gets them. For me, when I look at a scene or I'm scouting an area or looking at a building, what I see with my eye versus what I see in my mind are not the same. And again, it's a bit of, in my mind, there's a story. So I may be looking at a building and what I'm really seeing is the lights glowing and the fog rolling in. And there's this whole story behind what I'm seeing, but it's in my head more than just a building that I'm looking.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the passion comes from. Can I capture this and share it with you the way I see it in my mind's eye?
Mm.
If I had to boil it all down, I would say that is the one thing that keeps me going, because there's my enjoyment of seeing whatever I'm going to photograph, but it's that challenge of, now, how do I make you feel as if you were here with me and having that whole experience?
Yeah. Okay. I've definitely got a similar sort of bent to my photography. I do mostly seascapes, but I dabble in all sorts of photography as well. But for me, I don't know why I have a fascination for longer exposure, and it's not necessarily, and I do those minimalist 7-10 minute exposures as well, but that sweet spot of about a quarter of a second, half a second for movement of water or movement of fish in a pond or something like that, where you can tell what it is, but it's not something that you can actually see with your eye. That it gives you the emotion and the feeling and tells the story of, here's this place, here's this wave, or here's the movement of these fish, for example, but it's not a definite it's not a thousandth of a second representation freezing that moment in time. It's actually trying to stretch that moment out a little bit to give you something that the eye can't actually see, but conveys the motion that I'm seeing at the time and going, okay, this is something that will give you hopefully the same sort of feeling I get from standing there knee deep in water.
And I have to tell you, I have looked at a lot of your work. You are brilliant.
Thank you.
Absolutely full of what you do. I've got a lot of emotion from me.
Fantastic. It's working for someone. That's the main thing. What influences your photography more than anything else? Is it where you are? Is it a moment? Is it works that you've seen before? Is it something else that actually gets you going?
If I had to pick one element, I would say it's light. Most days you can find me at about somewhere between 5 and 7 o'clock, depending on what time of year it is, out chasing, as I often put it, what are you doing this morning? Oh, I'm out chasing light around San Francisco. And that's how I approach it. There's so many great landmarks to photograph in San Francisco. The list is endless. We're really lucky to have the beauty we have here. And for me as a photographer, what a great city to be in.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's possibly my favorite US city, actually, San Fran. Close second would be Boston, maybe, and I guess it's the harbor, it's the architecture around those places.
Yeah. I'll wake up and I'll think, oh, you photographed Wake Tower. Oh, you've done Palace of Fine Arts. But I'll go down my list and then I stop and look. And sometimes I'll drive around a little and say, okay, where is that light just really like hitting today?
Yeah.
And so I am literally driving around chasing light until I see just what I don't know what I'm looking for, but yet I do when I see it. And
Yep.
then that's okay, I'm shooting here today. And from that point, it's a matter of, I love seeing the world from different angles. I really do. And a good example of that is Quake Tower is probably one of the most photographed landmarks here. And what you traditionally see is Quake Tower,
Yep.
and then behind it, they want to get the San Francisco skyline with the Salesforce building and the Transamerica Pyramid. And it's a beautiful scene. It just lines up beautifully. But for me, even though I've shot that many times, I love with the drone looking at it from different sides.
Sure.
A photo that I have sold frequently of my work I do prints of is an angle of Quake Tower where what you actually see behind it is the Golden Gate Bridge at
Yeah.
first. And that's not a shot that you don't see it that often.
You can't just walk somewhere and stand there and take that shot.
No. And so I've had a lot of people say, I have to have that because I never realized that lined up so that there's the span of the bridge right behind it. Pretty spectacular. And then that's the thing that fascinates me is once I became a drone photographer and realized that, wow, this is a whole new game. I can now with people that they will never get to see because there's no way to get there.
Absolutely.
In a plane, in a helicopter, or seeing a photo from somebody's drone. And that's really exciting for me to get to share.
Awesome. Do you remember the first landscape photo that you took that you said, this is it, this is actually art, as opposed to here's a shot and I'm taking that shot? And where did the art start, I guess, is the main thrust of this question.
Interesting you should ask that because I think you'll like my answer. I
Hope
do.
so.
It was down at an area called Fort Point, which is down below, and the Golden Gate is up in front of you.
Yep.
And it was a long exposure. That's when, to me, I went, wow, this is like painting. This is like beyond just taking a picture. So I can relate to what you were saying earlier about loving to do water and long exposures. And I think that's the first time I really captured something that we take photos. I think all of us do. Sometimes we say, oh, is it really that good? Or, oh, that one looks great. But this was the first time I went, wow. And ironically, that very picture a few months later, Sony reached out to me. I'm a Sony shooter.
Yep.
Sony reached out to me and had actually said, can we use that on something online? We love that photo of yours. And I was like, oh, absolutely. I would be delighted for you to show this photo. And again, that really cemented it that, okay, somebody else is seeing it now and saying, wow.
Yeah, you feel like you're on the right path there.
You feel legitimate somehow.
Absolutely. You feel even more legitimate when Sony pays you to use your image. But that's another topic, talking about collabs and that sort of thing. But let's not go there just yet. We can circle back to that. I'm interested, you mentioned the storytelling element. What sort of stories are you trying to convey to people in the main? Obviously, different photos are going to tell different stories, but what is it, I guess, about some of the landscapes that you're shooting, particularly with the drone, that you're trying to convey to people?
Actually, I love that you asked me this because it's making me think a little bit about why I do what I do. And there's some kind of magic that happens when the world is still. Almost, I always get this feeling like I got an invitation that no one else got. And as long as I show up, I get to see it.
Yep.
And what it is for me that I prefer sunrise over sunset. I feel like the world's not awake yet. Very few people, if anybody's out there.
Yeah.
And I'm steal a moment. I am going to steal that moment. And it does. It tells a story. An empty street, the city lights still on, even though day is coming up, but the night lights are still on. And there really is, for me, something so magical about that transition between day and night turning into day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, that narrative is always about, I got to see something. It's almost like a guilty secret. And I want to share that with you.
Yeah, that's something I can very much relate to, getting up at silly o'clock just to stand knee deep in water and see something that most people in their beds aren't going to get to see because nobody else is stupid enough to get up at that hour.
glad you said that because we just had in San Francisco the last 3 days what's called California Henge. And it's twice a year, the sun lines up perfectly down California Street and literally sits like an orb right on top of the spire of the Bay Bridge. And it's masked, wall-to-wall photographers down there shooting this. And I'll never forget. It's on California Street, not for California Henge, but just taking that photo of the bridge lining up. And early in the morning, no makeup, I'm in sweats, jacket, beanie on. And I jumped out of my car, ran out in the middle of the street. No trolleys were coming, and I'm taking a shot. And this man looked at me and said, "Lady, you either got to be totally crazy or you're a professional photographer." And both.
I was going to say that's both, isn't it? Because I actually have, in speaking to as many photographers as I have during the course of the podcast, I've developed a theory that most landscape photographers anyway, and I think this extends to other artists as well, not just photographers, definitely have to have that kind of OCD perfectionist view because you get out there at certain times only because the light is right then. You then come back and you edit so that everything is exactly the way that you want it to be. And that, I think, definitely has a, not necessarily mental illness, but definitely a bit of a tilt towards the autism spectrum, for one of the people.
I agree.
I'm not saying anyone in particular, but I certainly know for myself that is the case. I am interested, though, because this question comes up a lot around whether you're a planner or more spontaneous. Do you set creative challenges for yourself? Do you plan your shoots? Or are you more reactive and go, okay, the forecast tomorrow looks great. I'm going to get up at 3:00 in the morning and go here and drive an hour and be ready for sunrise at 4:35.
I am spontaneous, but I do plan a little bit. Sometimes if I'm out during the day, maybe I'm shooting for clients or doing whatever in the city.
Sure.
Or when I travel and I'll go buy something that just instantly clicks and I'll jot it down in my phone, hilltop on this street, looking south. As a remind myself, you got to come back here and photograph this. So I try to get better at that because a lot of times I think it and don't actually write it down.
Yeah, I do a lot of that. See it, go, I've got to come back here, but never do.
What street it was. So that's always fun and that's very spontaneous. But I look at the weather forecast. And the cool thing in San Francisco is sometimes when it's foggy, it's, how high is that fog? How low is that fog? Because, and again, with a drone, you can pop up through the fog and get some incredible shots from above it.
I think that's one thing that San Fran has a little bit over. We get fog, but if we're lucky, we'll get 4 days a year, maybe 7 days a year. But you guys get that, I won't say every day, but it's a pretty regular event. And, but
it even has its own name. We call it Carl the Fog.
Yeah.
And what's really scary is that you can say that pretty much anywhere in San Francisco. Oh, Carl's out today, and people know what you're saying.
People know what you're talking about. Yeah. The book that you've got coming out is really very much a love letter to the city that you live in. I'm interested, though, in that project and how that started, what ignited the desire to create the book in the first place, and then talk a little bit about the process of actually putting together the portfolio that then goes into making the book.
So the book that is coming out is by Trope Publishing. And they do spectacular, for lack of a better word, coffee table type books about areas. They've done books in Paris, London, different cities in the US, and they are just beautiful. And quite a while ago, they had reached out to me and had seen my work on Instagram.
Okay.
That would be such a platform for photographers, and they approached me about working with them on being in the book. And there are a few other wonderful photographers in the book as well. And it just became a process of curating which pieces fit the story they were telling about San Francisco. And you hit the nail on the head. It is a love letter to San Francisco, above and across San Francisco. And I'm wondering if somebody at Trope doesn't have a crystal ball because the timing couldn't be better. After a number of years, really since the pandemic, of San Francisco getting a lot of bad rap, bad press,
Yep.
is completely turning around. It is looking better than it's looked in years, and things are just starting to pop. Businesses are coming back, and it's blooming again. And this book could not be coming out at a more perfect time to say, hey, guys, we've always been an amazing city, but wow, we're back. And this very much is, I think, a love letter to San Francisco.
Awesome. And for you, putting together that portfolio, what kind of things were you trying to bring to the table for the book?
I think in working with the folks at Trope, one of the things we were really looking to do was, again, tell an accurate story of San Francisco. There are so many districts. There's North Beach. There's Union Square. There's Fisherman's Wharf. And I think they did a great job of trying to really not just have pictures that covered San Francisco, but really focused in on all of these dynamic areas.
Yeah. Okay.
And for me, it was looking through work and finding there's some of my work on a Chinatown and some with Ghirardelli Square. And so it really did emphasize all the unique districts that we have here, which is that's one of the things I love about living here. If you're tired of this, if you don't want to be in Nob Hill anymore, go down to Fisherman's Wharf or go to each area really does have a very different personality.
Oh, absolutely. Was it probably about 15 years ago, the last time I was in San Francisco? And that was one of the things that really struck me about the place was that you could go, I don't know, 4 or 5 blocks and have a completely different experience to where you had just come from.
15 years now you got to come back and you got to go shoot water with me so you can teach me that magic you do.
Happy to do that. I might wait a little bit until the government over there changes though, because at the moment I can't afford it.
Well, on my bucket list at the very top.
Definitely. Yeah. And again, open invitation. If you get down here into Sydney at all, let me know and we'll get out there and I can show you some spots that San Francisco like in some places, but some that are very different.
I would look forward to it. Thank you.
How important is it to you and your work to have projects to work on? Is it something that you consciously think about a lot, or is it something that just, okay, if this comes along, I'll work on it?
I think I'm a bit of a type A personality workaholic. You know, people will often say, I know you photograph all week long. You have a lot of clients. You do. When there's a new build on a skyscraper, I'll often do the photos for the back plate and then they'll render in the photo of the building on top of that. Construction clients, very high-end real estate clients. And people say, what did you do on your day off? And I say, oh, I went and photographed.
Day off.
Are you nuts? So I think for me, it's a little bit like breathing. I have, and I'm not above. If I'm somewhere and I see something great, out comes the cell phone because I have no gear with me. And as many a decent picture has occurred on a cell phone.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I do profess the theory that the best camera to use is the one that you have with you. So even if that is only a box brownie pinhole camera, then use it.
Yeah.
As long as it's not a little Nokia chocolate bar phone, they're just not quite good enough.
And I'm a firm believer. I don't know. I'd love to have you let me know how you feel about this, but good camera gear is essential. It's
absolutely. Yeah.
Difference in the quality of photos. But I honestly think a good eye is more important than even good camera gear.
Absolutely. You can put the best Hasselblad combo in phase 1, whatever, those top end $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 cameras and lens combos in the hands of a ranked beginner, and they might get lucky and take a shot that you go, yeah, that's not too bad. But if you put that in the hands of somebody that knows what they're doing and has the eye for photography, that makes all the difference.
I totally agree. Yes.
What's it like shooting, particularly around San Francisco? I'm interested. I know here in Sydney, there's so many restrictions, particularly for drone photography, that flying over the city, for example, is pretty much a no-no unless you can find somewhere that is willing to give you permission to fly above their property. What's it like doing that sort of photography in San Francisco? Are there many restrictions about what you can and can't do, where you can and can't fly?
There are restrictions. I would say I think San Francisco is actually pretty relaxed. You see a lot of drones. And for me, those of us who are professional photographers with drones, we have to hold a license, an FAA license.
Sure.
I do. And I think most serious photographers do because it's their livelihood. We take it pretty serious that we really do need to know what the laws are and adhere to them and know when we have to get a waiver for certain things, which you can do. That's not a
largely it's a matter of actually putting in the time to fill out the form and then whatever dollars they want, if that's what they want.
And in San Francisco, I think the thing I would say most is that our city we've got one building that's 1,100 feet. Actually, 1070 is the Salesforce building, and that's the tallest building in San Francisco. And then you've got the Transamerica Pyramid at 7-something. And it's scary because sometimes I realize I think I know the air above the buildings better than I know my way around.
Yeah.
You have all these different heights, and we get drafts between buildings, and we get wind shears that run down certain corridors. So that's I would say the thing you have to be most mindful of if you're flying a drone in San Francisco is to really understand what our weather is and know where those things occur so that you can do it safely.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing flying a drone and seeing it sailing down a major street somewhere, and it's not doing that because of you.
Yeah. Well, when you see it moving and you haven't got your thumbs on the buttons going.
And I've had that happen one time when it got caught in a draft. And took some very intense work to try to figure out, okay, do I need to go down in altitude? Can I do that safely? Do I need to go up in altitude? How do I get out of this? Which I did. But boy, for a minute, I was turning gray.
Is there anywhere else that you've struck issues with drones? Somebody coming along and saying, yeah, not here. Sorry, can't do it.
Knock on wood. I've not had a lot of problems pretty much anywhere. And I have a theory. I don't know if this is an accurate theory, but I always say maybe because I'm a little older than what most people think a drone pilot's going to be, and I'm a female. I don't know. People, I guess maybe I look like I have some kind of authority and they're not going to question my career. I have showed up on top.
Mum factor.
I have showed up on top of a skyscraper to do work with a hard hat on and boots. And said, okay, talk to me a little bit about what we're going to try to capture today. And the guy looked at me and said, where's the drone pilot?
Oh, wow.
I said, that would be me. And he kind of looked at me with this shock. And I said, let me guess, you probably thought I was about 20 or 30 years younger and male.
Cap on backwards.
And he went, well, and I said,
T-shirt and bands. Yeah.
But no, I've been very lucky. And I travel quite a bit. I love photographing in Europe. And again, you just have to do your homework and find out what you can do, where you can go, what you can't. There's apps out there that can help you with that.
Yeah.
But here, I think we're pretty good as long as you pay attention to the rules.
Yeah. You talked about your background in marketing. How much do you think that has helped you be successful in your photography career?
I definitely think that plays a role. Being a marketing professional really helped me learn how to craft a narrative, craft a story.
Oh.
And I think to some extent that has carried over into my photography.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what have you learned from running your own photography business?
That as long as you keep putting one foot in front of the other, you absolutely do your best and give it your all, you'll succeed. There's a great saying, and I know I won't quote it accurately, and I probably can't tell you who it's from, but you might recognize it. And it goes something about there are brilliant minds that are unrewarded, and there are people that have all this talent that's unrewarded. And I think the very end of it is that perseverance alone is omnipotent.
Absolutely.
And I do believe that because I'm not the smartest person. I'm not the most talented person, but I am driven and I am very determined, and I just keep putting one step in front of the other. So in my mind, when I decided to get into photography, not having a business and being able to do this for a living wasn't an option. It was like, no, I just jumped off the cliff. I gave everything up. So not succeeding here That's not
Okay.
even in the realm.
So, with a quick decision for you, is it something you deliberated over for some time?
Pretty quick. It
Yeah.
was pretty. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that I was at a point in my career where, I'll be honest, at my point in the game, I call it the second half.
Yep.
I've done all the hard knocks and the learning and all of that, and this is the second half. And I decided if I was going to do it, it was like now or never. I
Yeah.
also felt I was hitting that age where we don't like to talk about this a lot, but the truth is you hit a certain age and you realize, wow, there's a lot of 30-something-year-olds that are very talented and probably or on they know what's happening, the best technology.
Yep.
And I thought, go out now while it's been a great run and do what you really want to do. And you still got time to do that. So it literally was jumping off the cliff and saying, okay, we're doing this.
I think that's a great point, because it also says to me that it's almost never too late. Obviously, there is a point where it is too late, where you can't actually physically get out. As long as you hit that sweet spot between, say, 40, 45 and 60, and I say 60 because that gives you a little bit of a lead up before you get to a point where physically it's difficult to get out and about.
At Bullfighter Mountain to get to the place you want to photograph.
That's right. Yeah. Climbing all those stairs and up and down mountains and so forth starts to become a bit of an issue. But you get that sweet spot between, say, 40 and 60 where it isn't too late to get out and change your career and do something different. And I think in talking to a number of people, that has been the case, is that they've come to it quite late in life, but actually then made the leap and said, okay, this is something that I'm passionate about and I really want to do. So now's the time to do it.
Yeah. And I love sharing that, especially with younger people. Like I give some people hope in saying it isn't too late. Run for it, grab it, and give it all you've got. You'll be amazed at what can happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a happy.
What does success look like for you in your photography?
I think it's a combination of, one, for me, it's a living, so I need to pay my bills with it. So there's a certain, I need to be working. And then that's only 50%. The other 50% is, I think, being true to myself, true to my dream, and knowing that I play fair.
Yeah.
I'm out supporting other photographers, patting each other on. And that's something we seem to have here in San Francisco that's really great. There are some phenomenal photographers in this city. And what I experience is just everybody celebrating each other and inspiring each other.
Yeah.
That's the for me, is being passionate, being true to myself, and doing the right thing with it.
What do you think is the most important thing for photographers running their own business or thinking about running their own business around marketing their personal brand?
I think you have to take a really good long look in the mirror. I think you have to know who you are.
Yeah.
I think that ultimately is going to come out in your work. And the more comfortable you are in your own skin and you know what you like and what you don't like. And again, that's a little bit of what we're talking about, the second half. You've made enough, hopefully, mistakes.
Yep.
And you're not afraid to be who you are. And when you're authentic, that shows in your work. And I think that's terribly important, to be true to yourself. Not to say, I love this photographer or that photographer, and I want to copy them. Be influenced, yes, by great work. Yeah, everybody's great work. You want to learn something from and be influenced.
Sure.
Today, it's not about saying, can I duplicate that? It's about finding your own voice visually.
Yeah, I think that's really important, is finding your own voice and being able to be true to yourself is absolutely vital in photography. And when you're actually putting yourself out there, making sure that you're front and center is definitely a big part of that.
Yeah. I'm curious if you feel this way too. When I have a photo that I really love and I think it's a well done photo and the editing on it has been done nicely, that's good enough for me. If no one else ever tells me it's a good photo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sell that photo. If someone gives it great praise, oh, that's icing on the cake. That is fantastic.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, I had to really feel good about it. And are you that way?
Absolutely. I have a good number of photos that I've stuck up on social media because I like them, and they don't get a lot of traction, which is fine. I don't put them up there for traction. I put them up there because I want to share them. And the people that like them, the people that don't like them, don't like them. That's okay. For me, though, I'm putting them there because I like them. And I know I've put some work into either getting to the place or setting up the shot or pre-visualizing and saying, okay, this is what I want to create. And whether or not somebody else engages with that is, as you said, icing. It's how I engage with it and how I engage with my own work that really makes the difference to me around an image that I really like. And if I like it, and if I don't, then I'm not going to share it. I'm not going to put up all my failures, the ones where I go out and go, yeah, I didn't quite nail that. But to be honest, it is interesting. And that's something that a lot of people that I've spoken to have spoken about, being able to go back into your history of your photography and look back and go, okay, that was good, but where I am now is a lot better. And being able to look at your body of work and do that sort of comparison, to me, that is where a lot of the joy of photography comes from, is looking at that improvement and that progress from where you started out to where you are now, or even 5 years ago, if you've been doing it for 10 or 30 years. If you go back a little while and you go, okay, I am improving and I'm happier with the work that I'm producing now than the looking back and going. Sometimes you look back and you go, what was I thinking? Occasionally you look back and you go, that's actually not a bad little gem in itself, and I'm pretty proud of that one. But on the whole, it's, am I improving? That to me is the essence of where I get the joy of photography from, is looking at where I've come from and where I am now and where I see myself going.
Amen to that. Yeah, absolutely. I've looked at a lot of my photos from the past, and like you said, shook my head and went, what was I thinking there? That's interesting. And you see yourself evolve, which is a good feeling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of evolving, how has your style evolved and where do you see it going? I'm interested in how people look at their own work and go, okay, in talking, I mentioned talking to Art Wolf before we started. He doesn't think he has a style. Do you have a style?
I think I do. I don't know how consistent that is, although I have had people see my work in print, in a magazine or in an article, and say, before I ever looked at the name, I knew it was yours.
Yeah.
And, oh, okay. I would think I would know it was mine, but that's really cool that you feel that way. There are certain elements that I think I could use to describe my work, and that I think part of my style. One is I will definitely lean towards things being somewhat vibrant. If there's light, I really like to try to capture that light in a strong way. Colors are very important to me, so I'm more often going to try to photograph something that's got color in it. And again, an incredible sunrise versus a tranquil scene that's very muted. Not that I don't photograph those things, but gravitate towards things that have a feeling of being alive.
Where do you like to shoot the most? Are there places that you keep going back to? Obviously, San Francisco is a big one, but are there any other places around the world that you keep getting called to?
Literally, drop me in any city with lights and I will be happy.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I love shooting in London. London is and again, it reminds me of San Francisco. There's so much new. And there's a lot of incredible new architecture, but then you've got that history and the stone. Yeah. It's just a beautiful combination. So
that combination of tradition and history and the modern.
Yeah. And Switzerland, again, it's colorful. Even if it's a nature scene, there's a million variations of green. So it can be vibrant. But every now and then I will go someplace that is considered woods.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm always surprised that I'll come away saying, wow, that's a photo I really like. But given the choice, I'm not going to opt to go to the woods. I'm going to opt to be in a city with lights.
Okay.
But I do both. In fact, I recently went to British Columbia
Okay.
and I to Whistler. Along the way, there's a waterfall. I think it's Shannon Falls. And I pulled into the parking lot and I asked the guy there, how far is it? I'm not much of a hiker. And he said, oh, it's quick. It's maybe 15-minute trek and it's not super steep or anything. I was like, okay, I'm good to go. And I grabbed my camera. And it was on the fly. I wasn't really planning this, but it was like, okay, let's go see it. And I took a few photos of the waterfall, which wowed me. It was pretty. Don't get me wrong. It was a very pretty waterfall, but I don't know. There was something that didn't call my name. And on the way back to the car, I took a turn in the path and there was this incredible moss-covered area where all you could see was a little bit of bark and everything was different shades of green.
Nice. Yeah.
Felt so alive that I thought, okay, I've got to get a couple of different angles. And when I was finding my angles and different things, and there was a little stream that came down. And honestly, when I got back from the trip and started editing photos, I think that's the one I'm in love with.
Fantastic.
No different than what I think most people would think of as my work.
Yeah.
It's fun. I guess it's if you always eat, or you're a vegetarian and one day you decide to have cake. Well,
Yeah. I'm interested in how where you live, and for you, obviously, San Francisco has shaped how you shoot as opposed to what you shoot. Obviously, the things that you shoot are going to be near where you live, but I'm interested in how that shaped the techniques that you might use or how it's influenced your photography and in what way.
I think it's made me more of I always love the term when I hear people say I'm run and gun, but there's truth to that for me. In San Francisco, especially early in the morning, I don't know how safe it always is to be in some of the places that I choose to go photograph.
Sure.
And I think that's true of any city. That's not to disparage San Francisco. But for a woman with expensive camera gear early in the morning by themselves, have to take stock of where you are.
Oh.
I say, is somebody going to want to come take my camera? And silly as that may sound, it's taught me to be not, in doing that, you don't have the luxury to say, oh, I'm going to be here for 3 hours and just set it up and keep changing positions. And it's okay. The light is coming up. I've got a window.
Yeah.
I've got to be on it. And I've got to grab that picture in that window because it changes in a heartbeat. So it has made me be I don't want to say fast photographer, but I am not one that's going to set up and boy, she's there for an hour or two and that's just not me.
Yeah.
And it follows through. Once you are, I think, have to shoot that way to some degree, it becomes part of just your nature.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to see the angles. I'm going to snap away, but I'm not going to be here all day.
Yeah.
The environment, everything is changing. If you're trying to get the world coming to life in a little bit, it's going to be booming.
Yeah.
So you have to be somewhat fast.
Okay. Interesting. What's one moment in your photography career where you've truly felt awe, like the landscape reminded you of how small we are in the grand scheme of things?
I would probably say it was in Switzerland. It was a town called Grindelwald, looming above the town.
Yep.
And we're taking both stills from the ground as well as drone shots.
Yeah.
And when I was done, I remember saying to my husband, you know what? We need to sit down and get it like a cappuccino, and I need to just take this all in. I am blown away. I can't believe what I've been looking at.
Wow.
From the ground and again, from the sky, it was like overwhelming. I felt like I had gone to a different planet.
Awesome.
It was just not stuff you see every day.
How do you think landscape photography shaped your relationship with the world?
I think it's taught me two things. One is to be in the moment more because it's are fleeting. And in one breath, I'm talking about being pretty quick in what I do. But that doesn't mean that I don't savor the moment. And maybe that's all the more that I'm passionate about a photo that I've taken because I know that moment was fleeting. I was the lucky one who got it. Is how I feel. But that's carried through in everything I do. If I get up and see the sun come up and I'm having a good cup of coffee, let that all soak in and say, well,
Nice.
okay, good. May not be exciting, but that's a special moment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I really treasure the moments. And I think too, the older we get, the more we realize things don't go on forever. And you really be present in the moment and maximize every minute. I have a question for you, if I
Yeah, go for it.
I want to know, what do you do on your day off?
When I'm not doing photography itself, I'm probably doing stuff around the photography podcast.
Okay, I have a sneaking suspicion.
But
Right.
no, seriously, time off. I'm usually spending time with family, my wife in particular. She sometimes accompanies me on photo trips, but she's also not really an early morning person, so she likes to have a good sleep in when she can. But on occasions, I've managed to prise her out of bed and get her to stand next to me while taking some shots. But that family time, recently become a grandparent. So that's another thing that I spend quite a bit of time with my new grandson. He's now 4 months old, 5 months old, Nelly. And yeah, so watching him grow and develop has been an absolute joy. And he's, as you may or may not know, babies are an absolute time soak. You can sit there and play with them forever unless they're asleep, in which case you can get on with life again. But until they're in their waking hours, they will just take up all the time they have.
I have 2 grown sons, no grandchildren. As you said, that translates to what we were just talking about, savoring those moments. I have a dinner with one of my kids or both of them or whatever, when we do get everybody together, because we're in different locations. And I soak that in, and it's almost like I memorize it. And I realize, wow, this is precious. And again, we're all changing constantly.
Absolutely.
Like to memorize the moments, if you will.
Definitely. I'm interested in processing side of things. We've talked a bit about being on site and everything. Are you one to get straight into an edit coming back from a shoot, or do you leave things on the hard drive and just come to it as you feel like it later?
My preference would be to come home and get straight into it, just depending on my schedule.
Sure.
But I'm not one to leave it and say, oh, I'll get to it in a month. I want to think about it. No, I'm always anxious to see, what did I get?
Yep.
And
do I need to go again tomorrow?
I will tell you that I'm a firm believer for myself. And I think whatever works for a photographer, it's all good. We all have our own way of doing things. I like to try to get as much right in the image when I shoot it, so that the editing, if possible, is minimal.
Yeah.
Or fine-tuned. I'm never happy if I take a shot and feel like, oh, this is going to take a lot of work. That's almost okay, let's move on and see if there's something else. I want to try to get as in the camera as I can.
Yeah. Have you ever had a creative block or hit a creative wall? And if so, how did you handle it?
It doesn't happen often, but every once in a while, I've had a sense of, and I think it has a lot to do with Instagram, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Putting pictures out all the time, where I just felt like, okay, is it starting to all be the same? It's great style. I like people to recognize my work, but I feel like I need to take a deep breath. Then I'll take maybe a week, and I don't always last a week. I might go out there, but I'll try to take a little bit of time off and just say, okay, just don't shoot for a couple of days. That just sounds like a week. And I just kind of let my brain do its thing, get whatever thoughts are in there about my work out, and then just start over.
Yeah.
Does that happen with you? Do you find yourself needing a break? Or
Occasionally, yeah. I don't try to go out every day. That's, to me, having a bit of balance. So I do quite a bit of looking at the forecast, and if it's going to be a blue sky day, I'm going, do I really want to go out and shoot something that I don't really feel passionate about? I do get a lot of enjoyment out of that dynamism between the sky and water in particular, but whatever it is that I want in the foreground. Yeah, I do spend a lot of time looking at what the forecast is saying before I go out. So for me, I don't ever feel like I'm tired of it. There are times when I haven't feel very motivated, but at some point the itch comes back and I've got to go, and I do. So when the itch is there, I'm all about getting out and doing it. So it's not something, I can't say that I haven't had creative blocks, because I have. I know there's been times when it's just, I don't feel like going out and I don't feel like editing. I want to go and do something else. So I go and do something else. That's the thing about getting balance in your life and in your photography, I think, is really important. So if you're not feeling it, go and do something else and wait until you do feel like it, because you'll know when you want to.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
As you said, it's like breathing. You get to a point where you hold your breath so long that you've got to let it out and go and do it.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons I love to travel. That's one of my favorite pastimes. I just love to travel. It coincides so nicely with just bring some gear. I always find new things that I want to photograph. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I'm pretty much the same. And the camera always comes with me when I'm traveling. My wife and I just did 17 days in Vietnam and had a wonderful time wandering around rice paddies and Hanoi and Saigon and Hoi An and a few other places, just snapping away. And it wasn't always dawn shot. Sometimes it was the middle of the day. I took the drone as well and was lucky enough to fly that in a couple of places. So there was a few places where that wasn't an option, or I didn't stick it in the backpack when I went out on a walk or whatever. But it was a really good experience doing something quite different and shooting middle of the day in that harsh light. You're looking for different things, and I think you shoot a different way to how you will when you set up there with a tripod at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning.
It's funny. We're interesting creatures by nature. We avoid the time of day when most people say, "Oh, I want to go out. It's so beautiful." That's not
right. Blue sky day. Don't want any of that. Give me some nice stormy weather.
Somebody's got to like it.
That's it. That's exactly it. What do you see as photography's place in society?
It's art. It's like music. I think it's essential to well-being. Look at what most people, or many, I should say, do. You get a home, you want to put beautiful things around you.
Yeah.
That sometimes it's keepsakes, things that remind you of happy moments. Sometimes it's beautiful artwork that you can sit down at the end of the day and look at and say, "Oh, that's my happy place." Or I think it's essential. I really do.
Awesome. Where do you see its future going? What do you see in photography's future?
Wow, that's a can of worms. I'm not one who is too threatened, or I don't feel threatened by AI with photography.
Yep.
I like to think that there can be somewhat of positive way to use it, minimal way to maybe use it, so that it's not a bad thing. It can be a good thing in certain aspects, but I don't think it will replace, again, that the magic of having a photographer that sees that image and then brings that to life for you.
For me, AI in particular, as you brought it up, and listeners to the podcast will already know where I sit on it, but it's never going to replace the feeling of getting up at silly o'clock and going out to somewhere that's beautiful and capturing that beautiful moment. It's never going to do that, because all you're doing is sitting at a computer typing some words. And to me, that experience just doesn't compare.
Yeah. And the other thing that I have noticed, that when you take a photo and you can share with someone not only that photo, but the story that goes along with it.
Absolutely.
Enjoy it even more. And a AI generated photo is never going to have a real story.
No.
You didn't almost fall in the water. Your drone didn't almost get carried off by the seagulls. Those things are not, that's part of real life. And that's what makes, as mentioned earlier, that's part of what's exciting about going out and doing what we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You asked me the question, and I'm going to turn it back to you. What is it that you do when you're not doing photography? You mentioned you don't have any days off.
As you said, I love family. So I do spend I possibly can with my family. I have a little Chihuahua poodle who is my baby. Now that my children are gone, she is my baby, and she's so a lot of time. Part of my day, and thank goodness for flexibility, revolves around, okay, where are we going to go today? What park am I going to take her to? And what am I shooting today? Is it something I can actually bring her with me? And so there have been days I have one of my sons lives here in San Francisco, Sean, and my other son, Eric, is in Oregon. But I'm not above saying, can I bribe you? I'll take you to In-N-Out or wherever you want to eat if you'll come and babysit Pips the Chihuahua for me while I photograph. And I'm all about it. Okay. And then it becomes not only am I doing something that I do for work and for my enjoyment, but I get to spend time with my son. I get to play with the dog. It's all good.
Fantastic. What's the best and or worst piece of advice anyone's given you?
Oh, boy. I don't think I have an answer for that. And it's probably because I'm not very good at listening to advice. That's probably the truth. I really can't think of any good or bad advice, especially not about photography. But no, I'm not one that takes much advice. Actually, I'm not one that asks for advice very often either.
Yeah, I rarely ask for advice. I probably should sometimes.
That's the truth. But no, I'm headstrong, and my method of learning is often hitting my head against the wall until eventually I say, I need to do something different here.
Yeah, I know that feeling. We're going to have to wrap up shortly, and I've only got a couple of questions for you. First off, are there any photographers that you think I should be talking to on the podcast?
Oh, my goodness. There's so many that I do admire. Serge Ramelli is one that I think is a very talented man. Thomas Heaton is another one.
Yep.
Oh, boy. And I'm probably not even going to think of half the names. Yeah, I would have had to have made a list because I'm terrible at remembering names. But
that's fine. Those two will do.
That are, I think, incredible talents. Very different, the two that I just mentioned.
Definitely, yeah.
But I appreciate both of their work. And for me, when I look at another photographer's work, I honestly drink it in like somebody who's never used a camera.
Wow, okay.
Fresh, if you will. I don't tend to analyze it. I don't tend to say, oh, I wonder what they did here. I tend to just soak it in and either go, wow, I love that. I feel very passionate about it, or not. So I hope I don't ever lose that.
Oh, absolutely. That would be a real shame. And I think that ability to look with fresh eyes at somebody else's work is absolutely vital. My last question is one that I've been trying to get to the bottom of since the beginning of the podcast. Do you like pineapple on pizza?
No.
Fair enough. Thank you ever so much for being on the show, Diane. It's been absolutely wonderful talking to you and learning a lot more about you and your work. Where can people find your work?
They can find me on Instagram at Diane Bentley Raymond. They can find me on my website at dianebentleyraymond.com. And certainly they can find us in the new book, myself and a few other wonderful photographers at above and across San Francisco through Trout Publishing.
Fantastic. I'll make sure there's links in the show notes. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much. And I really do hope I get to come visit you in Australia.
Absolutely. The door is open.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks again for listening to Landscape Photography World. I hope you enjoyed the show and keep listening because I'll be joined by some great guests in upcoming episodes. You can find my work in this podcast at grantswinburnphotography.com along with prints and photography gear. I'm also on Vero, Photo, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Grant Swinburne. Hope to see you out shooting soon.